back to this breaking news episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Brody, joined alongside my good friend and co-host Tony Sapita. Ryan Poles is the next GM for the Chicago Bears. He was picked up by George McCaskey in trainers, ripped Levi jeans, and a Bears jacket, but everyone knew it was them. Tony, I see you got a flag in the background. Is that from his broken down Honda that he picked up outside Terminal 1, or what's going on here?
Yeah, he just asked me to hold it. You know, he had to grab his sign out of the trunk, which was honestly, I kind of liked that. That was kind of a smart move. I don't know if you guys saw that. Adam Johns broke it down. He had Ryan Poles' hometown written on the piece of paper he was holding for him, so that it's not just like, hey, Ryan Poles. But I mean, he has orange Ryan McCaskey Ryan Poles. George McCaskey had orange shoelaces on. Like, orange. You're obviously George McCaskey. You're not hiding from anyone with this Bears mask, whatever.
He was wearing a sick Bears Letterman jacket too. Cool jacket. Had the Bears face mask on. But you know, I kind of saw some other people taking pictures like the day before. They're already saying like Ryan Poles is the guy, but he is the guy. And a lot of people don't know about him because he was so under the radar, but he was arguably a top 3 GM candidate. I mean, behind Joe Schoen, who is obviously number 1, went to the New York Giants. Ryan Poles, we'll get into him more in a second, but the Bears fans should be ecstatic about this. This is bigger than it seems, and it's only going to become bigger as we run through the information. So the Bears also said that they're hiring a GM first before they hire the head coach. So one domino falls, the other one's probably going to fall very quickly after. So very exciting news. But Tony, let's go through all about Ryan Poles.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is I think I said it early on when we were kind of doing who do we want, that kind of stuff. I said, let's go young. And Ryan Pace was young. Don't get me wrong. That was correct. But I like, that's just where the NFL is going. These young, smart guys. And Ryan Poles definitely fits that description. So he's only 36 years old, very young, but he's got a bright future ahead of him. Everyone loves him. I think he's very smart. So he's currently the executive director of player personnel.
Not anymore.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, he is formerly the executive director of player personnel of the Chiefs. It's still, you know, the ink hasn't dried on the contract yet. So we'll say currently, but that was, you know, I only this past year was he at that position. He has been with the Chiefs his entire career, started at the age of 23. So
very
talk
impressive.
About being ingrained in football. Literally, I'm 25, almost 25 now. 2 years ago, I was getting drunk. He was, you know, I don't know who he was signing, but either way,
he was bringing in player. He was bringing in who was it back then? Jamal Charles.
Charles, yeah, that's
guys who are the same age as him. He's given contracts to.
Yeah, a little different than what we were doing, but so it was a player personnel assistant in 2009, promoted to college scouting administrator 2010 to 2016. Then he went to director of college scouting 2017. Then he was the assistant director of player personnel 2018 to 2020.
And
so
I just want to call something out really fast. During his year as director of college scouting, guess who he drafted in the first round?
That would have been Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the 1 year that he's he did a pretty darn good job. He hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. Talk about, that playoff game was incredible. And you know what? That's, you know, we'll kind of get into this a little more, I'm sure. He's worked for 3 different GMs during his time with the Chiefs. He's been that constant that's been there over this. I mean, the Chiefs, obviously, like there was a little bit where, I mean, even with Jamal Charles and all that, they weren't obviously a powerhouse, but they were a good football team. And then honestly, since he's been there, they've been a competent organization. That's all I want. And that's what I think he could bring. He did interview for the Panthers job last year. He didn't get it, but the Panthers are a dumpster fire. So are we, but I don't trust the Panthers to make a good decision.
Not anymore.
That means
Ryan
absolutely
Poles
nothing
is going to fix that.
100%. He was a finalist for the Giants GM job, but they ended up with Joe. How do you say his last name again? Schoen?
I believe it's Shane. I believe it's Shane. Wow. It doesn't matter. He's not our GM. Yeah. We got Ryan Poles.
He was the hottest guy on the market. Fun fact, he was an undrafted free agent signed with the Chicago Bears in 2008. I don't remember that. Clearly it didn't work out, but that's okay because it worked out in the end because now he's gonna be signing those undrafted free agents and they're gonna be stars. And his attitude is kind of something to note. He said this to the Chicago Tribune in regards to finding leaders through the draft. We see these guys on TV as athletes every week, but they're around each other all the time too. So it's like, the locker room has to be good. You don't have a strong locker room if you don't have everyone on the same page. If you don't have leaders to keep the focus forward, you'll lose it. We've seen that as Bears fans. Brandon Marshall fighting the kicker, who was it, Robbie Gould or the punter, whoever it was.
Well, that would have been. So one thing I want to throw out there in regards to that comment he said that quote to the Chicago Tribune in regards to when he was interviewing, was beginning the interview process with the Chicago Bears. I think one thing that he's going to do first thing is he's going to re-sign Akeem Hicks. Like, he talks about leaders. He talks about how important that is. He's got a lot of money this upcoming season. I think he's going to go out and re-sign Akeem Hicks. Just putting that out there right now. And I hope I'm right, because Hicks is the heart and soul of the defense. And I think that now also he's going to be talking to his players, seeing who they want as a head coach as well, and working for Justin Fields. That's what they did with Patrick Mahomes. Well, Andy Reid was already there, but they brought in Mahomes and Andy Reid knew the job to do that. So I am very excited by that quote, that he's looking for leadership. And also, I'm hoping that I can buy a jersey this year with a big C on it, because I'm sick and tired of the new captains every single year. So I'm very excited on that. But, Tony, I see you have one more comment about him before we go into a little bit about my spiel about Ryan Poles. But I got to agree, he is the perfect guy for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point about Akeem Hicks real quick, the Bears have a ton of cap space. It is totally different than the past, 2 years where, we had to cut Kyle Fuller because we couldn't, or release Kyle Fuller because we couldn't pay a salary.
Which worked out.
He's honestly the perfect guy for the Bears. Like you said, he's young, he knows the new NFL, and he loves finding talent. So if you just look at the Chiefs right now, I'd say they're in a pretty good spot. Some would argue otherwise, but they'd be idiots. So he has helped put together 10-plus win teams the last 6 seasons. The Bears have only had 3 10-plus win seasons in the last 12 years. Like I said, it's kind of like, with the coaching staffs, obviously Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, although, screw the Packers, but he's arguably done a good job coaching. That it's interesting now that it's kind of moving up to the GM role. It's moving up to that front office role. You don't want these old guys, which ironically, Bill Polian is the guy, pulling the strings behind the scenes. He's 100 years old, but I think they made the right choice.
Which I'm very happy you said that. So, Polian obviously has had a lot of, going on with this in regards to the Bears GM and head coaching search. And a lot of people thought he was going to go with Morocco Brown because of the ties that he has with the Colts, Tony Dungy, all these consultants that came in. Everyone thought it was Morocco Brown. So Morocco Brown had an advantage walking into Hallis Hall. He was like, I already know these guys. They know me. They know what I can bring to the table. I've worked for this organization before, back in the day when they were talented. We've kind of brought that up before. But this guy, Ryan Poles, 36 years old, came in and blew the doors off everybody. And he did that under the radar. Everyone's like, Ryan Poles, who is this guy? And as time went on, people are like, okay, he's been with a successful Chiefs organization. He's moved his way up. He knows the game well enough at 36 years old. So he's going to be able to know the new NFL. And he was able to go around Polian's line of guys that he was going to hire, like Dan Quinn, a lot of other people. And he blew the doors off. He was going against, again, Morocco Brown and what was it? Omar Khan from the Steelers, who also has developed very good teams. This guy's young, has a lot of talent behind him. And I think that's why Bears fans should be like, wow, this is something different. This is a big, big deal that we are getting him. Hopefully, I really think that he has a lot of draft capital this year. He has a lot of guys. He has a lot of cap this year. I'm excited for this because he's going to come in and be like, listen, the Chiefs have been this good for this long. You guys have done this. I'm going to do what you guys want for your organization. Stay out of my way. I will report to you, George. But I think that Bears fans have no idea what we just got. And I could go back to this clip in 2 years and be like, what a horrible signing. What an absolute dumpster fire of a signing. But in 2 years, we could be in the NFC Championship, or at this time be waiting to go to the NFC Championship. Justin Fields leading the way. I'm just saying, Tony, I'm pretty excited.
I totally agree with you. And I think the best way to sum up my feelings on it is I like the swing. I like the swing they're taking. You only have a window, so long with Justin Fields on his rookie deal, with which if he turns into the guy that we hope he does, he'll be taking up a lot of cap space. And that's fine if he ends up being that guy. But you also, what is that? So that's 4 years because you get that 5th year.
Now 3 years. Round. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he would get $16.5 million, I believe, in his 5th year option.
Yeah, which is still less than, of course, the $500 million contract we'll sign him to. Like Pat, once he's better than Patrick Mahomes, different story. We'll save that for next year maybe. But either way, yeah, I like the swing. Just we got to get the head coach right, obviously, but we're on the right track, I think.
And speaking of that, so the Bears are on the right track. We got the GM. A domino is falling. One thing I also want to say is I hope Poles keeps Chris Tabor, especially with what happened with Green Bay. Bears have a very strong special teams coach. Sign that man, give him a promotion. I don't care. But Tony, really quick, 30 seconds. Who are you going to take as your head coach now that Poles is the GM?
Okay, so there's been rumblings that actually Ryan Poles is a big pro Dan Quinn guy. I'll give credit to Bears blog. So he's been right about some stuff. So I that's why I took it a little more seriously than I probably would have from just random people on Twitter. But apparently Dan Quinn is a murderer's row of a staff ready to come with him wherever he ends up.
Whoa.
Now, whether that's true or not is the biggest issue. And that's the Bears' job to figure out and kind of sniff that out before they hire him. But if it is true, I've come around on he's so fun to watch whenever they show him like up in the box for those Cowboys games.
Yeah.
And
he's growing on me too. He's growing on me too.
Brings in a good offensive coordinator. Screw it. We're back to like a Lovie Smith type, like just hard-nosed defense. And if we bring in a good offensive coordinator, or good, then I don't know, we'll figure it out.
And I said I didn't want Dan Quinn, but it's grown on me. And the more information, as fans, obviously we know like emotion takes over first before you find out the facts. And I think Dan Quinn actually could be a very strong candidate for the Chicago Bears. And it's funny because they are bringing him in for a second interview this upcoming week. And they're also bringing in former Lions and Colts head coach Jim Caldwell. So, another experienced coach that has had success, that has been to a Super Bowl and unfortunately lost as well. But there's a lot happening within the Chicago organization. So we are celebrating Ryan Poles as the general manager of the Chicago Bears. Big day, young guy. I will buy him a drink if I see him anywhere in the Chicagoland area, and it's very exciting. So with that, thank you very much for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde, joined alongside Tony Cepeda, and we'll see you guys next time.